Welcome, brothers and sisters, to Skull Nation and the Bones About It podcast. I am Kenneth Scout Taylor. Today's story will be told by Douglas Bones and Tempest Rose. We will travel to the Kisua State Park in Pennsylvania and tour the Kisua Bridge.
Hey y'all, Douglas Bones here with my friend Tempest Rose to talk about the Kisua Bridge.
Hello, I'm Tempest Rose from Skull Nation's Rose.
Well, to start, the Kisua Bridge State Park is located in McKean County. The 339-acre Kisua Bridge State Park is home to the 225-foot high skywalk. The Iron Viaduct, once the largest and tallest railroad structure at 2,053 feet long and 301 feet high.
Well, that's really big. Is it still there?
Unfortunately, no. It was replaced by the steel viaduct, which was partially destroyed by a tornado on July 21st, 2003.
Oh, did they replace it with anything?
Actually, yes. Reinvented as a pedestrian walkway in 2011, visitors can now walk 600 feet on the remaining support towers and gaze onto the Kisua Creek Valley and look down through the partial glass platform at the end of the skywalk.
Well, I heard construction of the Iron Viaduct began in 1881, starting with the placement of the stone piers.
Correct. When completed in 1882, the Kisua Bridge Viaduct was the longest and tallest railroad viaduct in the world. It was constructed as an alternative to laying an additional 8 miles of track over rough terrain along the line leading to McKean County's coal, timber, and oil lands.
Was it a long process?
Well, built of iron in only 94 days, the original viaduct was approximately 301 feet high and 2,053 feet long. The towers were patented design called Phoenix columns, which were lighter in weight and had greater strengths than cast iron columns of the similar size.
It was only iron?
Yeah.
What?
Well, by the 1900s, it became necessary to rebuild the entire structure with steel to accommodate heavier trains. It took 100 to 150 men working 10-hour shifts to complete the job within 105 days. The new steel viaduct had the same measurements.
But with that amount of manpower and material, were they able to finish the process?
Unfortunately, freight traffic discontinued in 1959. Luckily, in 1963, Governor William Scranton signed a law that created Kisua Bridge State Park. The park officially opened in 1970. The Kisua Viaduct received national recognition when it was placed on the National Registry of Historical Civil Engineering Landmarks in 1977.
So that's why, beginning in 1987, excursion trains traveled from Martinville, Pennsylvania through the Allegheny National Forest and stopped at the Kisua Viaduct before returning to their starting point where they began.
Well, unfortunately, with new rules and regulations were added, during February of 2002, inspection, the Department of Conservation of Natural Resource Engineers determined that the bridge needed a full-scale inspection. By June, excursion trains were barred from the bridge. In August, the bridge was closed to all traffic, including pedestrians. And engineers feared that high winds could create lateral pressure on the bridge, causing a collapse.
So what was the result of these inspections?
Well, because of the inspection, a national leader in the railroad bridge construction and repair, they began working on to restore the Kisua Viaduct in February of 2003. On Monday, July 21st, 2003, at approximately 3:15 p.m., an F1 tornado with the wind speeds of 73 to 112 miles per hour struck the side of the Kisua Viaduct. The towers were torn from their concrete bases and thrown to the valley floor. Very sad face.
That's awful. What caused the towers to be torn from their concrete bases?
Well, A post-collapse inspection revealed that the 1882 wrought iron bridge had been replaced with steel, except for the anchor bolts, which had been reinforced with collar couplings. The investigation determined that the hidden fractures had developed in these collar coupling assemblies and anchor bolts, making them too weak to withstand the winds of the tornado.
Were they able to find a solution to the problem?
Fortunately, today, park visitors can once again walk a portion of the Kinzu Viaduct, built on 6 restored original towers, including new anchor bolts, a pedestrian walkway that leads to a 225-foot-high observation deck that gives a towing view of the Kinzu Valley Creek Valley. Built on 6 restored original towers, including new anchor bolts, a pedestrian walkway that leads to a 225-foot-high observation deck that gives a towering view of the Kinzu Creek Valley, a partial glass floor deck that reveals a breathtaking glimpse into the steel structure of the bridge, the 11 twisted and scattered towers blown over by the tornado remain at the bottom of the valley. Several benches line the paved walkway to the skywalk.
Thank you for all the awesome information. I will have to bring my family and friends.
And the picture taken from the platform under the skywalk allows visitors to photograph themselves and the remaining support towers in a 3D effect, similar to what visitors saw prior to the towers falling in 2003.
Today's special restaurant is Cottage House Restaurant and Winery from the Old Town Smethport. I had a ranch-style burger with French onion soup. I recommend it. I wish I would have also ordered the lasagna soup. Thank you for the people of Cottage House Restaurant and Winery. Here's a brief history of the property. The property was first purchased by J.E. Shook on the corner of Water and Fulton Streets, on which was located the Baptist Church, destroyed by fire months ago. Consideration $700. We understand that Mr. Shook contemplated building a boardhouse on the lot. In 1899, a property owned by the regular Baptist Church of Smethport was conveyed to J.E. Shook, when by consent of majority of male members of the said church, the trustees were inducted to sell and dispose of the land. Mr. Shook constructed a boarding house on the property, which was to be known as the Cottage House. Here he offered comforts and convenience desired by weary travelers and public, generally in the hope of making his guests comfortable. The property was then sold to M. W. Heinlein in 1904, who respectfully solicited a share in the public patronage and accommodated the needs of the traveling community. His table was always supplied with the best the market and the surrounding counties could offer. In 1929, the Connor family purchased the Cottage House, and they maintained the operation in the previous established manner. Clyde H. Mung changed the name to the Fulton House when he acquired the property in 1950. The next 32 years brought a series of owners, each of whom made changes to reflect their personalities. On December 17, 2010, a historical landmark was lost today in Smethport. The Cottage House, built in 1899, burned to the ground in the early morning hours. Today, while the 1899 Cottage House was lost forever, in tribute to its rich history and place in the community, the name and original sign lives on. No attempt was made to recreate the original, but to merely provide a comfortable gathering place enjoyed by the community, which is exactly like the original.